2, 3. Hey guys, we're back.
We're so back.
We're back.
Welcome back to the Marloma podcast.
A dream guest on my podcast?
Probably one of my exes.
This is awful.
Would you, hypothetically, are you interested in JoJo Siwa?
What?
In any,
in any
in any
form?
world?
No,
No?
I wouldn't say I am.
Yeah. She's still a kid to me.
Yeah, I think she will be for the next 30 years.
Until I see a wrinkle, she's a child. Today we're talking about the TV series Yellowjackets. How would you rate Yellowjackets on the comfort scale for our sensitive listener?
I would say if 10 is the most uncomfortable you can get,
Yeah.
I'd say it's probably a 9.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
You have explained to me the difficult parts as well, because my curiosity got the best of me. I won't say anything on here, but I agree with that.
Yeah.
It's pretty uncomfortable.
I would say there's very few things that could top it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing about, when I'm listening to you talk about it, I get uncomfortable, but, in a curious way. When I'm watching it, I get uncomfortable in a, this just ruined my life for the next foreseeable week way. So,
yeah, for sure.
I know that if I saw that without you explaining it to me, I'd be ruined for sure for 1 to 10 weeks.
1 to 10.
1 to 10 weeks.
1 to 10 weeks.
How would you sensitively and briefly describe the first episode of Yellowjackets? I gave you these questions and I'm sorry. I'm just kidding.
Give me 2 seconds.
No, yeah, genuinely. I was about to say take your time, but I knew it would come out sarcastic. I mean it.
The first episode of Yellowjackets, so this whole series is kind of in a jumble because we go back and forth between present day and 25 years in the past. But the first episode, the pilot episode, shows us majority of what the 25 years prior looked like. So it's a bunch of high school girls who are all on a soccer team together, and they are going through their practice in preparation to try and make finals, which is out of state. And it kind of shows all of the girls on the team, their dynamic with each other, who they are as each character. And then we see them win the game to get them into the finals, and seeing kind of the friendship tropes as well, and them being celebrating together. They have a little bonfire moment, getting drunk. I mean, it was I think it was in the 80s or 90s. So I mean, not to say that doesn't happen now, but
Right.
it was before,
for aesthetic purposes.
Yeah, for aesthetic purposes, out in the middle of a woods, bonfire moment, all drinking, partying. It's a bunch of high school kids.
Right.
So but you start to see some conflict unfold, and some of the dynamics on the team, you start recognizing, we already have a little bit of plot just within the characters. But everything's fine. We move on, and they're getting ready to go on their flight to, I don't remember where it is, but again, they're traveling out of state, so they're going by plane. But that's where the biggest plot of the show comes from. Spoiler alert, they get in a plane crash. And it is in the middle of absolutely nowhere. So not only is it a plane crash, but it's somewhere where they have no idea where they are. It's 25 years ago, so the technology is not as great. They don't have phones. They don't have, cellular phones. They don't have anything on them that would help them really get much service or of any immediate assistance. And also too, the plane crash was brutal. It was with a bunch of trees and on a mountaintop, so very rocky, and there was I don't know, a lot of things that were not fun to watch.
She's how do I say this?
Yeah, not how to, trying to describe it without describing it.
It was unfortunate as a plane crash could be.
Yes, as unfortunate, but also showing a lot of victims' guilt, or what is it, survivor's guilt? Yeah. Because majority of the people who are on the plane survive, and that's what the show is based off of, is for 19 months they spent the time trying to survive in the middle of nowhere after a plane crash. And it's a bunch of high school girls. And they're like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Do you know what to do? And no. And they're going through all of the seasons. There's snow, there's rain, there's heat. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So that kind of sets it up. And then the 25 years later, we start to see some of the girls from the high school grown up 25 years later. And we are shown that one of the biggest like plots as well is the 25-year reunion of their high school. And they're realizing that none of them have seen each other since they got saved from that plane crash. So it kind of goes back and forth of like, what were the dynamics back then? And to those who are still around, what is their dynamic now, if we even know?
Right. Yeah. Okay. That's a strong first episode, because from what I've read online, most people are more interested in the timeline 25 years ago than the right now. So they focus a lot more on that. I also think the scene of them celebrating in the woods is interesting foreshadowing for what's to come.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
It's a haunting foreshadowing for sure. It's the almost like the predetermined destiny type thing, but also giving the naivety and innocence of, oh, these are high school girls having fun in the woods, to then being like, you are no longer considered like a teenager, a soccer player, a high school student. Like, you are just a human trying to survive.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Do you think every on-screen death or injury was necessary to the storyline?
No.
No? Was a lot of it just for the sake of, like, gore?
I would say, actually, let me rephrase. I don't think it was necessarily unnecessary. I think the way that it was visibly shown, obviously you can have creative choice on what you want to show and what you don't want to show. There's some scenes that come to my mind where I'm like, did I need to see that? No. But does it give the aspect of, oh, at the end of the day, this is a horror series or like thriller series. Right. You're gonna have those moments where the people are gonna want to like shriek or feel like the ick of it all. So I don't think it was unnecessary to have like those injuries or deaths be present, but I don't know if every single choice was just a creative choice.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's realistic to some of them, at least. I know a lot of them are a little more like ritualistic, but some of them are like necessary to this is a realistic survival situation. Like, if you were there, you would see this stuff.
Totally. And I think there's some portions where it's like, based on the ritual sense, there are some things that may seem out of proportion, but it's like, we don't know because we haven't lived that. And I think that's the scariest part of being like, is this actually what it would be like? I don't know.
You wouldn't get to like close your eyes for any of those tough parts if you were out in the Alps, like
exactly. Yeah.
Speaking of, sorry, I'm going a little off topic here. I didn't like give you these questions, but they just came to mind. You're in a lot of university level film classes. Is there any specific moment that stands out where you were like, that was a really cool film strategy, or that was a really cool shot that they chose to do?
I think there's a couple of shots that come to mind that really play with the time warping that they do of like having the 25-year gap. There's like a lot of still shots that they match framed. So like one character would be seen 25 years later in the same predicament. Or like maybe a similar one where it's like, for example, without spoiling anything, like let's say it was... You can
spoil. Like, that's what people are here for.
Okay, great. Like, for example, one of the girls, she had like a very traumatic childhood and was in a situation where she had a very abusive parent. Her dad was very abusive, and out of self-defense, like, aimed a gun at him, like a shotgun at him, to like protect her mom. And it like kind of shows her shaking because she doesn't know how to use a gun, and she's a little kid and she's very scared. There's like a cut scene from that to then a cut scene in the woods when she's trying to practice aiming at cans because she was like, I've used a gun in my life.
Oh, for hunting.
For hunting, yeah, for survival. And then the 25 years later of her holding a gun trying to go on this like manhunt.
Wow.
25 years later, which is a whole other story.
So
but it's like
three parallels.
There's literally 3 parallels,
wow.
which is super, super cool. But I think the coolest part about it is like each scene, while it is relatively similar, like all 3 of them kind of have like a different like response. Like she had a different trauma response for each one of them. So like the dad thing, she never pulled the trigger. It was an accidental trigger pulled by her dad. The thing in the woods, she's purposefully aiming at a can for target practice. And then the 25 years later, she's like being reckless with a gun because she's now a recovering addict and like drunk off her ass. And sorry, I don't know if I can curse.
No, it's okay. I know there was growth, but obviously that doesn't sound like progressive growth.
Right. It's very non-linear, which I think is a really cool thing to show, not only visually, but like in film in general, especially with such a traumatic type of series. It is very cool to have like that realistic aspect of, no, growth is not linear.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. You also started a major in criminology. I'm interested in your perspective on how crime applies in this situation. Like a lot of man-on-man crimes were committed out in the woods, but does that apply in a survival situation for education purposes?
I think that's one of the things that they are trying to figure out themselves in the show too, because 25 years later they all made a pact saying like, we'll never talk about what we did. And one of the main characters is trying to run for like a government official position. Cool. And everybody's like, are you gonna ever come out and say what happened 25 years ago? And she's fighting this like, I don't know if I should say that because is that criminalizing?
Yeah.
You know? And I think you bring up a really good point. It's like, at the end of the day, it's survival. Like, what are you gonna do? And
where are they in terms of the law? What laws apply?
Exactly. Yeah, they quite literally have the only laws that they have is survival. Like that's all they can really go off of. There's nobody else there to help them. There's nothing that they can do. So it's like, I don't know, if you're in danger, you're in danger. Or if you're hungry, you're hungry. And it's
that gave me the tingles.
But I would definitely say that's a really difficult thing to think about. But also like the man on man, there's very much there's very many situations in this film as well, or not film but series as well, where due to trauma people die 25 years later by the hands of the same girls.
Wow.
And it is kind of like we're not in those woods anymore. We can't do this.
Right.
But I did. So how do I fix that? And it's the cover up. And that's where it becomes, that's
illegal.
That's illegal. Like, no, you killed a guy.
They're back in the United States and 25 years later are still practicing these survival techniques not for survival anymore.
It's not necessarily like they're practicing it. I know that the main character, she kind of goes through this like traumatic episode and like psychotic break where she starts making up things in her head and then reacts to them externally, which results in her killing somebody. And she's trying to gather these other girls that she knows from way back when and be like, guys, I messed up. Can you help me? And they're like, well, unfortunately now we have to. And everybody kind of gets wrapped into it. And it's this crazy, I don't know, it's this crazy thing of them trying to all help each other, but not excuse what each other's doing, but not necessarily help it either.
So obviously you have a lot more knowledge on this than me, but I know you kind of like were like, I can't really say, but on ungoverned land for survival, do you think they could be prosecuted if they admitted to what they did back then? If they're in the United States now and they admit to what they're doing, could they be prosecuted for it? If it didn't happen in the U.S., it happened on ungoverned soil.
I think I'm forgetting the term, but it's like when a certain amount of time passes.
It's been like 25 years.
Yeah, when a certain amount of time passes, I know there's some laws that are like, at this point, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Doesn't matter as much. I don't know if that would pertain to this case.
But hypothetically, it could.
I think it still could.
That might be how, like, you know how in, like, music sometimes, like, the artist will just admit to, like, killing someone and, like, no one does anything about it, even though it's technically, like, a musical confession?
Mm-hmm.
That could apply there, too, right?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, all of that relates. It's the same thing when you hear about, like, these serial killers that didn't get caught, or, like, a constant cold case, or I know that the Zodiac killer documentary came out like maybe a couple years ago, and it was finally like, we think we got him, but he died. And we never got like an official confession.
That's messed up. That is messed up.
It was never an official confession, but everything led to that. And it was like, well, technically he was guilty, but it was so long ago. So who knows?
I'm looking up the term. I want to know.
I'm like,
you can't be processed.
It's like due process.
Due process. Is it part of due process? Statute of limitations?
Statute of limitations. Correct.
Okay,
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's like a certain amount of time passes where something's not necessarily applicable in the court of law anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know how that relates when it comes to, like, self-defense. Mm-hmm. If they would consider that self-defense. That's another thing in its own, you know? Like,
right.
Because you're not, I mean, let's think about it this way. We have laws for if you go hunting, or even if you go fishing, a fish needs to be a certain size in order for you to keep it and catch it and eat it, right? Same goes for hunting. Like, deers and elks and all these different bigger mammals are marked if they're not supposed to be hunted.
Yeah. And
if you hunt that animal, you get in trouble for it, right? But also, if you put that in a survival aspect, are you gonna that's a human life,
right?
So I don't know. I mean, that's the court's job, is to determine what's worth prosecuting.
It's interesting. I'm on like Arizona statute of limitations for example, and for like murder and manslaughter, which is like intentional or pre-planned, no statute of limitations. At any point you could be prosecuted for that because it's like a capital offense.
Is that first and second degree?
I don't know. It just says murder and manslaughter. Negligent homicide, no statute of limitations either.
Okay.
So
yeah,
I don't know if self-defense would be considered negligent.
No, self-defense, because self-defense, what I recall from learning about the different tiers, it's like first degree, second degree. There's like a third degree, but that's kind of like / manslaughter. Mm-hmm. And then you have like vehicular manslaughter and like all these subcategories.
Hit and run resulting in death is 7 years. Vehicle accident caused by a moving violation that resulted in death, 2 years.
Right. And then below that is self-defense.
Okay.
So technically you still can be prosecuted for self-defense.
And this is if you can even prosecute crimes that didn't happen on U.S. soil.
Right.
Or wherever this was.
Right. So it's like, who knows? But that's the whole point of this team, this I don't know, law team.
Right.
You know, is to be like, okay, with all the things that we do know, with all the evidence that you are providing, because that's another thing too. 25 years ago, in the middle of nowhere, what evidence do you have besides word of mouth? And this is 25 years later. How much do you actually remember? What is the psychological memory of all of these girls? Do all of their stories line up? If they were, for example, intoxicated, they did have alcohol, or they had like different plants that they would eat that were kind of hypnotic. Did those alter your memories? Did this stuff actually happen? And there's no physical, tangible proof. Maybe besides what is in this episode, or not the first episode, but one of the first few episodes, we see one of the girls journaling. And that is a piece of tangible evidence.
A confession.
Correct. Well, maybe a form of confession.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a piece of tangible evidence of like this did happen in real time.
Can you tell us a little bit actually about the backstory that inspired the Yellowjackets storyline?
Elaborate?
You know what I'm talking about? That, like, the true story. That there was, like, a real plane crash that happened that inspired the writer.
Oh. Was there?
Wait, okay, let me look it up. I might not include this, but...
No, you're good.
Yeah, there was an Andes flight disaster of 1972.
That's right.
The boys' rugby team.
Yes.
Crashed. I don't know. I've heard multiple things.
I was going to say, I think there's like
it.
multiple real life events that happen between it. But I mean, okay, I will say though, I mean, I don't know if this is specifically an inspiration that was taken by this director or writer or whomever, but it's like, I mean, you have that Andes crash you were just talking about. You have just like normal, I don't know, like a fear factor. I feel like a lot of horror script writers take things that are real and put them into these hyper realistic situations.
Yeah. And make them like 10 times more horrifying.
Yeah, because it's literally playing on fear, right?
Yeah.
It's saying like, it's doing the what if, and then what if, and you keep going. But there's also, I don't know, like I just saw like Lord of the Flies.
Yes.
Like that's a classic.
Makes sense. Looks like it was also inspired by like real life ritualistic cults, the Osho cult.
Yeah.
Yeah, which makes sense because they kind of get a little cultish out there.
They do get a little cultish out there, which I'm not going to say I don't blame them, but I also kind of don't.
Of course, 19 months?
19 months. These are
Teenagers?
Kids from like, I'm assuming 14 to 18 years old.
One of them has schizophrenia and runs out of medication.
That is true. One of them has schizophrenia and runs out of medication. One of them is pregnant. One of them, or the coach is like a young gentleman, which is like one of 3 boys. That is it.
Yeah.
There's, I don't know, there's people with more survival instincts than there aren't. You have like a bunch of different dynamics throughout like all of these kids. And it's like, I don't know, you have like leadership take place. Again, it's also a parallel. It's a soccer team, right? You have your team captain. You have your different players with different positions on the team. It's very representative of how they were out in the woods too when they got lost. True. Of like, okay, you were our team captain out there. Can you do that here?
Damn, that's insane. To be like, you're a soccer captain. Tell us how to survive. Right.
And spoiler alert, she had no idea. Yeah. And it led to her demise pretty much.
There was a kind of a dark, funny, but dark behind the scenes thing with that. The captain's name was Jackie, right?
Yeah.
And there was an inside joke between the cast they had this inside joke where they called her Jackie Fruit because
that's brutal.
The prop that they used to commit cannibalism on Jackie after she passed was made out of jackfruit. Wow, I did not know that. Yeah, and they would affectionately nickname it Jackie Fruit.
Jackie Fruit. That's messed up.
It's pretty fucked up.
That's messed up. On it,
I'm sure it was funny behind the scenes, but
oh yeah,
like
for
horrifying.
Sure. Yeah. Oh gosh, it reminds me of like this type of show. First of all, I'm so in awe and have so much admiration for actors.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Because it's like, how do you go into a show like this and come out like sane?
Like okay at all?
Yeah, it's like, it reminds me of, I was just talking about this with some other people the other day, like the Dahmer series and like all of these serial killer shows that people did like limited series on. And like these mainstream actors are like having to get so close to what those people were like. And it's like, how do you recover? Like having the difference on camera of like, you have, obviously you're acting, everything you're doing is fake, but on screen you have to make it look like everything you're doing is real life and that this is pure survival. And if that means like this is a death in the show it has to look real. If this is like a form of survival instinct, you have to make it look real.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know, I feel like that could be very traumatizing.
Oh,
yeah.
And I mean, since we're both musicians, the only other time I felt like, how does a songwriter do that, was The Diner by Billie Eilish, where I was like, how do you have a terrifying situation where like you have a crazy stalker breaks into your home multiple times and say, I want to write from his perspective and make it like I'm feeling his emotions and like I'm justifying his actions. Like,
right.
I'm just like, how do you, like, you're so close to this situation. It's so emotional, so horrible.
Yeah.
And you take it and make this art out of it that takes such strength. And I'm like, I don't know if I have that. I'm like listening to these people and I'm just like, how?
That's crazy.
I brought that up because you're talking about actors, like.
No, yeah. I mean, in a sense, like in the entertainment industry, in the business, like we're all kind of one and the same when
just
it comes to that.
Re-traumatizing ourselves for the sake of art.
Yeah. Well, re-traumatizing maybe, but also using that emotion as a form of a weapon to beat it.
Yeah. I like that.
You know.
I like that phrase. I'm glad I have that on recording too. Sometimes you just say things and I'm just like, I wish I had them on recording because they're like really, really introspective. What are your predictions for the ending of the show?
Unfortunately, to me, this feels like something that cannot resolve positively. Or at least, honestly, in a way, I kind of am hoping that it doesn't. Because
Miss Horror enthusiast.
I don't know. I'm a sucker for, like, a devastating reality. Like, maybe that says something about me. I don't know.
I mean, it would make sense that it didn't wrap up pretty in a bow.
There's probably going to be people going to jail. I think there's going to be people probably getting locked away in psych wards or, like, really needing some extensive help. Because if they don't get that extensive help, like, things are going to keep happening. I think it'll just be a cyclical nature thing. Thanks for listening.